I love it. It's like it's moving. It's like moving in the red and greens. I love it when it does that. I love it when it does that. Wonder what this one's saying. I can't turn it that way. But it smells absolutely horrifying out there. Absolutely disgusting. Yeah, I'm sequestered in a particular place that I'm not going to complain about. It's been an absolute palace for the circumstances I've been in. It's been exactly what this situation needed. That's what God does. God is super awesome, guys. Right? So I choose to see. I choose to see. That's what I'll tell myself. I can see the hyper colors, super hyper, like orange and yellow and red and blue even. I see a lot of, like I'll tell myself it's the stamen of a flower, because if I let my mind go where my mind could, with all the interaction capabilities, I'm not kidding. There's been nights when I do this, and the reality screen will move, and it's been like experimented on multiple nights, and you can see it. It's and I have to like go like and grab it and then move it, and it's been awesome, but it's not every night. It's some facet of the way that the light and the lens works. We've all got a lot of super coming up. We're gonna get our heads out of everybody else's butt. That's right. Science against everybody's gonna stop. But we're gonna get to know a lot more about ourselves, and we're all gonna be participating in our own. And it's going to be fun, and it's going to be awesome as well. That's what we've got coming around the corner. Because God didn't abandon us. We're not abandoned in the middle of nowhere, like fluke happening. No, God totally did all this. And, what? No, you gotta go away. No, you gotta go. Nope. You can't come in here. No, I know there's a lot of light, but you can't come in here because I'm not kidding. I've got a key. I've got a computer right here. You can't come in. Thank you for understanding. That was a close one. I had to put my foot down. I had to put my foot down. That's what I had to do. So he was almost, he was almost the little bugger. He was almost putting up a. Oh, he's back! Oh no, you can't come in. You can't come in. You're gonna have to wait till later, darling. Something like as if no, there he is again. But serious, you can't come in, Mister. I'm serious. I'm gonna put my foot down. Yeah, you can't do it. You can't do it. I'm asking you not. No, but you're getting closer. All right. Hold on, bucko. Right. Open the place out. All right. Wow. I mean, but seriously, because I don't want to have to smack a bug. Oh my God. No, mister, you gotta go. I'm gonna pull him. That's what I'm gonna do. For crying out loud. Let's see if I can put this back. He's planning on sneaking up on me. He's gonna do. Okay, I'm having way too much fun. Well, that was exciting. That's a lot of excitement for me. That's what that is all about. No, actually, it's pretty exciting all the time. With what God's revealing to me, oh my God, you guys, it's fucking crazy awesome. The old world. God did all that. God built the buildings. God dialed the whole thing in. The whole thing. You see, the old world had fountains. And it was all dialed in. It was to the lighting, to the train system, the tides. They harnessed the tides from port to port in a precise way. And this water that they harnessed from the tides coming in and out twice a day ran their whole entire world. And that's those old worlds. If you've been to like Chicago or Philadelphia or Paris, for example, these cities were built all at, at the same time. Like that wasn't gradual progress. That those fountains had to be dialed into it. It's all dialed in. So it proves the fact that it was just not even, and they were made all around the world, in all these regions, and there was huge manors that they turned into insane asylums and put the women in. Don't even get me started on the dark side of it, because this is what it tells us. This has been an agenda, not to improve humanity, even though that's their eugenics excuse. But the truth of the matter is that they've been trying to turn us into some digital code so they can get our souls sucked into their digital twin world. We had it already free, a free society, analog society. Yeah, analog. And so this darkness, this little season has been having its little season, doing it their way. I think that they think that they were saved. Some cataclysm happened and they were like saved. And they figured God, let them get saved them. They're like, wow, we're the ones, we were saved. That's what I think. I think that's why they consider themselves the chosen ones. But I think that they don't realize that it was God's test, their final test. Because God let them do it their way. And what they've done with it is pretty bad. Pretty bad. God's stepping in the nick of time to show them what God is from what God isn't. See, this has all been set up by God, because God's proving to us that God exists. That's what's going on. God did all this with the prophecy and with the seals and all of it to prove to us all that God exists. And that's what we need to see in scope. It's not about me. It's not about a religion. It's not about a nation even. It's not about patriotism. It's about God's cosmos, God's creation. God gave it to us all dialed in so that we could enjoy it. All we had to do is reverse engineer it and work together. And what does it tell? The story tells a story where man came into the picture and has been doing it his way, and they tried to silence the truth. They took advantage of a situation. That's what that tells you. That this wasn't some accident that they didn't know about. No, they did this intentionally. trying to erase it from reality. And it's pretty bad, the truth. The orphan trains, the parents were gone. What happened to the parents? And this is when the money showed up on the books. All of a sudden, some people had a whole lot of it. And they were running some system, some economy. Yep, that's what they've been pushing for the last 150 years. Whatever, 250 years. Actually, I think it's a good rough estimate is like when the 7th degree began, 1756. Middle of that Victorian era. Yep, and they destroyed it. They destroyed all this technology. Oh my gosh, it was a life-size analog computer grid. That's why it was free. Everything was free. Airships, train systems, towers that would soothe the wind. Yeah, calm the wind, it was described. They had, in other words, they had climate-controlled heat, like the buildings were temperate. If you look in those pictures of the old buildings, they had a lot of stuff going on in their roofs because it was like a lot of induction and flow and hydraulic type swirly stuff. But it wasn't electricity. It wasn't electricity. And that's the difference. They want to push the electricity game. They want to charge people for electricity. That's what they wanted to do. So it's like this, like, I get it, boys will be boys, right? But it's not doing us any good, and none of us are enjoying it. So they just got to knock it off already. Their pursuit for world war, their rules of war, that's what they got going on, guys. They got the rules for the war. They're not trying to improve anything. They're just trying to get away with it. But God didn't abandon us. And God's making God's presence known. With the Atlas, how fun is God showing up like that just to prove to everybody that God exists. Not only that, but that everything is living. And it doesn't have to be any more than that. It can be intelligent metal. It can be intelligent elements working together in a cohesive manner. Because it mostly is consciousness when you think about the realms of existence and all the dimensions that we don't even know about yet. But just the cool thing that geometry and it's all dialed in. And it's to a precision. That's exactly how you know that that's what God did. God made those buildings. That's all there is to it. Just when you look at, now that I look at it this way, and I can see it so clearly, it's almost as if memories are coming back to me because of this perception, this full-bodied perception, because it resolves that. When you watch these videos, you're like, oh my God, I want that again. And you're like, what happened? And it makes you feel pain until you realize, oh, wait a minute. No, God did that. And if God did that once, God can do it again. That's what God meant by giving us paradise. Yeah, because it wasn't going to be just out there in the forest. No, God gave us paradise. And so with people, it's got to be dialed in like a city. But these were manors. They had 1,500 rooms in them. People lived we worked together. This was when a woman was in charge. And that's the other bug that got at their butt. It's like St. Petersburg, this area in Ukraine. That's where this Tartaria was, in that Russia zone. But Tartary also had it's because Alaska and United States, we got those cities built here too. All around in South America, they got them all over. Australia, God dialed them in. That's who did it. There's no need to even. But I've listened to so many hours of these videos and looked at so many of these. I guess you could say documentaries put together by engineer-minded mind. And I don't care if it turns out that it's the intelligence that gathered this information. It's fucking fine for me. The truth is what's awesome. So there was a woman that was in charge, and that's because what they don't understand is the true story of what the Holy Word is talking about before they fucked around with it, and their translation intentionally swapping it out. So we have a lot to be thankful for with truth and light that is living, and love. It is love. Love is the force of creation. That's step number 1 to know. Yeah. Atlas is so awesome. With the changes and the tail, I believe that it's the reason why its tail is facing the sun is because it's being pulled by the sun, because the sun is an aperture. It's an aperture, and that's what it would do, is it would pull. I believe that the light is towards the surfaces, and that's what would account for it. It's being pulled from the other side of space, because there is another side of space, the white room, the matrix. It's what the other side of the aperture is. That's why you travel from the center. That's why we've seen what look like plasma vehicles coming in and out of the sun. I watched the SOHO and the LASCO satellite imagery, and there's a lot going on there, and it's beautiful because it's alive. It's all alive. And it's a system. It's like a very harmless system. And it's simple. There is what there is, and then there is its absence. So it's not that there's a Satan. There's God, and then there's the absence of God. And that's what has been the mimic. Satan's been that mimic of God. That's why man has been trying to outdo God. Man's been trying to way. I think that he thought that it was her. That's why they chopped their heads off of all the statues. But even in Paris, still you see the three angels, the female. She's got her foot on his chest. But for whatever reason, that's there. We're not here to conquer. We don't have to when we are intelligent. And that's what we're graduating into, is intelligent. We are still animals. And this is what you got to graduate. Well, that's what's happening. So what we need to realize is that we're not intelligent yet. First of all, so we need to stop thinking we are. Second of all, we have to realize we got to graduate. We got to qualify for that. What do you think it's going to require? Well, first of all, probably not acting like an animal. Thinking maybe we're going to pass the test by not behaving like the ones we're supposed to not be attached to anymore. We need to be prepared to let go of that inner animal, if you will, because we got to give in to the intelligence. And what does that require? Us knowing that God exists. Us knowing that God exists to such an extent that now it can become a power that we share amongst us in our connectedness with knowing that God exists. And now we're going to start seeing God exist in our lives. And we're going to dial that in because I'm here as the host. My daughter and I are here for that reason. That's why this prophet spoke of us. Through the way that it goes. God, me, his echo, the Holy Spirit. And God has made an echo for me, my daughter. It teaches us how it's a self-verifying system. Everything is self-verifying, and God gives complete systems. That's why God dials it all in. God doesn't want us toiling like fucking cavemen, having to just figure it out. Maybe one of these days we'll stop paying our taxes. No. God dialed it all in for us. All we got to do is reverse engineer it to figure out how it works. But we don't need to figure it out because it's already dialed in. So what does that mean? That's what the whole image of the romantic, Renaissance, and enjoy yourself, think, have fun with the science, have fun with your camera obscura, your camera lucida, paint, make statues, let yourself be inspired by what God has put together, and that is what makes sense. If you're the epitome of intelligence, you wouldn't fuck around or waste time and be like a ding-dong like that. No, you'd make it all spiritual and cool and shit. That's what God does. It's exactly what God does. That's what God has led me to know. But God has met me on my field, and that's what we also need to realize. Is God is unintrusive, and he's not the mad dad, but he is a protector. And he is the Father Earth, the creator, the elements, the living wind, the soil, the air, the water. God is the Holy Spirit of this planet. And that's a hierarchy system, because on another planet, there's another spirit. I'm certain of it. I'm certain if I was on Mars, there'd be a different spirit God, and it's fine. I don't know what anyone's trying to get to Mars for, but the God of Earth is fun, spectacular, sweetest, most loving, I'm so honored, so much, and it's so loving, and and I'm here to share with all of us. And if anything, you don't have to love me. You don't have to love me. You can totally hate me, but God's got the role for this, and that's why it's there, because it's what it needs, the situation. That's what it needs, and that's why I've been sent here. And I think this atlas is turning out to be really in sync, because the wow signal is where I incarnated from. And I think that the information is turning out to be very in sync, because that's what God would do. God's proving that God exists. And again, I'm just a vessel carrier. So this is God's ta-da moment. I'm the one that God's utilizing to show the world how God works, and that God works. And I'm here to tell the story from beginning to end when we do that. And it's so awesome what it teaches us. And that's how God would do it. It's exactly what God would do. But this is what God is doing. So God's proving that God exists with all the stuff that God has gotten on. I'm not the one coming up with these things. This is God's work. And that's important because mankind's all prepared to be like, you're not better than everybody. It's like, listen, buddy, I never said those things. You're the one that's got your weird panties in a bunch. Who the fuck? What the fuck is the deal? Mankind has had an agenda to like destroy God's world. Like, how gross. Why would you do that? Well, I'm not going to wait around for the answer, but it's a really good question. Why did they? Why have, oh, whatever, who cares? It's just because they were boys, they had the opportunity, they thought that they were chosen. They thought God gave them baby incubators or something, I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it. We get to know that God exists. And God is living elements. And they're all living elements, and there's different aspects of it. And we're at that point where we get to know that. We're graduating, we're evolving, guys, actively evolving. It's like, hey guys, I know you guys are busy playing your war games and all, but I need you guys to gather around because it's on God's clock. We're on God's clock, guys, not simple as that. Okay, gather around, guys. We're on God's clock. Okay? That's all. It's God's clock. And God shows me, God will just depict things in the living light. Just open your eyes and you'll see. My phone's about to die, so I'm going to turn this one off. Until next time.